So I get asked a lot, hey Stix, what are your favorite gacha games? What do you think are the best gacha games right now? With 2024 having just started, I feel like there's no better time to go over my favorite gacha games and why I like them as much as I do. Before we jump in, Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys had a lot of fun. We have a lot to look forward to in 2024. I'm very eagerly anticipating gacha games like Wuthering Waves, Project Mugen, Wang Yua, Duet Night Abyss, Unending Dawn, Arknights Enfield. There's so many absolutely incredible gacha games on the horizon, which is partly why I started a video series that I do every single month, detailing every gacha game releasing every month of the year. This is the video series you should be most interested in, so you never miss out on a new game. I strongly urge you to check out January 2024's list. Additionally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification, that way you remain up to date with everything that I post. With this in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at what I think are the best gacha games right now in 2024 to start the year off right. Let's start this off with Punishing Gray Raven. This list is going to be in no particular order. This isn't my least favorite to most favorite gacha game. Punishing Gray Raven is arguably one of my favorite gacha games because of its combat. There is really no competing against Punishing Gray Raven in terms of combat fluidity, special effects, animations, the beautiful gameplay. Everything about Punishing Gray Raven's combat and gameplay are just next tier. Phenomenal. They're incomparable to any other game. No game even comes close. I know there are people out there that think Genshin's action combat is as good. It is not. I love Genshin, I do. It is not as good as Punishing Gray Ravens. Punishing Gray Ravens is just so fast. It is so fluid. But additionally, the game also has a surprisingly good story. It doesn't start off good. Trust me, I am well aware that probably about half of the games that happen to be my favorite gacha games don't start off with stories that grip you, that enthrall you. But that doesn't mean the stories don't get good. They really do. Punishing Gray Raven takes a little bit to kind of accumulate that speed to captivate you and enthrall you. But once you're hooked, you're hooked. The characters are stunning. The gacha itself, the rates are actually surprisingly good. This is a very free-to-play friendly game. I love Punishing Gray Raven. There are very few things that I find issue with in the game. So few that they're not even worth noting. Arknights is a tower defense strategy gacha. This is a game I've played every single day for the last 20 to 22 months. I haven't missed a single day. I have every single character that I want upgraded to several degrees. The strategy aspect of Arknights are the most fun for a tower defense gacha game. There are other great alternatives like Path to Nowhere, but I feel like nothing comes close to how perfect Arknights is. Arknights has a great chibi graphical style, which I know isn't for everyone. Arknights has great character models, great special effects, a lot of character diversity and skill set diversity. Arknights has a very good story. Admittedly, the first several chapters, not so much, but the story gets fucking great. The voice acting is good. The level diversity is good. It is very challenging at times. Mechanically, the game has more features, more mechanics than any other tower defense game that I have played. Before I cover any additional games, I want to take a moment here to thank our incredible patrons over on Patreon, who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. I genuinely appreciate all your guys' support. I cannot express how much it means to me, especially going into the new year. Now, let's jump back into the video. Azure Lane is like, it's a gacha game for fucking horny bastards. Because it is by far one of the most explicit gacha games out there. Probably only exceeded in terms of lewdness, And in terms of how looted it is, by Nikke. Azure Lane is... It's not necessarily a full auto game, but like you engage your units, you move across a grid, you engage numerous different enemies. Your waifus kind of move horizontally and vertically across a field, shooting the enemy, they shoot at you, you're trying to dodge bullets. I don't quite know what the game mode specifically is called, or the game style is called, but Azure Lane, admittedly, I've played I think like 20 chapters or more. I didn't find the story to necessarily be of the same caliber as Punishing Grey Raven or Arknights. It's a fun story. It has some fun gameplay. It has some crazy waifus. Phenomenal, like otherworldly attractive waifus. The gameplay loop is actually pretty fun. The gacha, very fair, very free to play friendly. You don't have to spend a single cent to acquire any character or to acquire upgrades for characters. I have not really played a gacha game as free-to-play friendly as Azure Lane. Genshin Impact, like we all know Genshin Impact, right? I don't really need to go into detail as to what it is. I love Genshin. I played it for about half a year straight every single day. I think I hit, back before 2.4 came out, I hit level 54 or 55, I think, like approaching there. I enjoyed, admittedly, the game a lot more than I thought I was going to. I felt like it was going to be kind of empty, kind of barren, like there wouldn't really be any purpose to exploring the world, because the world is entirely open. It's enormous. There's so much to see, so many things to do, so many characters to find, monsters to find, items to grind. This game has more of everything than you could imagine, and at the same time, it doesn't have an end game, which I know bothers a lot of people. It bothered me too. But Genshin Impact feels like it is a game packed with great story, good combat, an incredible world that is unparalleled any other, but at the same time, it feels like the entire game is essentially a side quest. Not because the main story isn't impactful, it really is. It is really good. But because there isn't necessarily an end game focus. So you're logging in just between patches to just do stuff that has no real impact on the overall game. So it feels like a lot of side content, side activities, like it should be a side game. Whereas, you know, it is also a main game. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure you understand if you've played it. Honkai Star Rail. This is a turn-based gacha game that I'm sure you've also heard of. It is a game that I think improved aesthetically on Genshin. Not necessarily the world, because the world is enclosed and segregated. The world does look beautiful, granted, but it's not open and enormous. You can't interact with the environment, everything. So in terms of scale, it is much smaller. The story, however, I feel like they managed to kind of condense it and consolidate what they wanted into a more easily digestible format, and I think that worked really well for Honkai. Characters are great. They look freaking beautiful. I love the fact that characters are connected between all three of Hoyo's games: Honkai Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Genshin Impact. The turn-based combat is really good. I love turn-based RPGs. Turn-based JRPGs were some of my favorite RPGs across every major gaming platform. Voice acting is really good. Side content is good. The little Easter eggs you find out in the world, so much fun to see, so much fun to find and explore. Overall, arguably one of Hoyo's, if not Hoyo's, best quality game. Ether Gazer is like Punishing Grey Raven, but if it had a smaller budget. Like, Ether Gazer is a really freaking good game. Admittedly, it doesn't have as necessarily as good a story as Punishing Grey Raven. It has a decent story, equally as good graphics, or at least equally as good character models. I don't think necessarily the graphics are as good. I think they're a little bit worse, but still very good. I think the combat is really good. Like, by far top 5 best action combat in a gacha game. I think the game mainly focuses around moving through missions and doing battles consecutively, pretty much like Punishing Grey Raven. There isn't really like a whole lot to do or a whole lot to explore, but that doesn't make it any less fun. Reverse 1999 is probably one of the best gacha games I've ever played, from its insane voice acting to its incredible story to its stunning graphics, its incredible looking character models, its crazy setting moving backwards through time. It has pretty good looking characters in battle. It has phenomenal live 2D animations. Its story is like, it is chef kiss. It is just so perfectly executed. Admittedly, its translations are a little bit off at times, and it makes you wonder, how the fuck did these English speaking people say this, like speak this out loud and not question why it didn't make sense? But the combat is turn-based, and it's a pretty fun combat system. Everything about this game is of the highest quality, except for translations, which are not bad, just not of the same quality, the tier of quality that every other aspect of the game is. Blue Archive is probably my second most played gacha game of the last 6 months, because while I'm logging in to play Arknights a lot recently, Blue Archive, I've been pushing through all the story, pushing through all the different chapters, leveling my characters. I actually hit the max level 85 just like 2 weeks ago. I didn't know there was a max level in Blue Archive until I hit it. Now, Blue Archive is kind of an auto play, like auto combat game. Your waifus, they move through an instanced field, shooting enemies. You can use your abilities. You're pretty much all but required to use your abilities because the AI is fucking ridiculous, really dumb. And they use your heals when your characters are full HP. They use AoEs on a single target. They use single target abilities on a group of enemies. It's, oh my god, the AI in this game is horrible, but it works for most things if you're just trying to repeat content or get through like filler content or side content. Now, this game has a really freaking good story. I feel like that's a recurring theme in the gacha games listed here. The vast majority of them have really good stories. The vast majority of them have really good characters, character models, graphics. About half of them have good combat. The other half have okay combat, but they excel in all the other areas. Blue Archive is no exception. Decent auto combat, decent special effects, crazy looking characters, really good story. There isn't anything I dislike about this game, and the fact that you can rerun stages over and over without needing tickets is another bonus. Nikke is admittedly my favorite gacha game right now. Blue Archive is my second. Arknights is now my third, but that's because I just feel like there isn't much to do in Arknights after having completed everything in the game. Nikke, on the other hand, is the most perverse gacha game you'll find that isn't rated 18+. This game has, you would not expect this going in, but it has a really good story. It has some of, if not the best looking waifus in the gacha genre. By far, the uncontested crowned king of hot waifus. It has very good auto combat, but at the same time, you're required to participate in the combat for a sizable number of stages as you get further through the game, because the AI is just really dumb and are incapable of progressing because of their sheer incompetence. The voice acting is really good. Everything about this game is top tier. I would easily put it, I did actually, in my MMO tier list, I think, put it in the UR category because I think it is one of, if not the greatest gacha game that I have played. But that's just down to personal preference. Finally, Guardian Tales. Guardian Tales is actually my top 5 favorite gacha games. I know a lot of people probably haven't played this. I don't know why they haven't. This game is one of the best stories I've ever seen. It's a story that doesn't take itself seriously. It's just filled with humor, filled with cameos from other games. Like, we encounter Link and the Master Sword, or like Transformers, or like Power Rangers or something. Like, this game is everything. You can you can play this game purely just for the story. But then the combat is complete action. It is really freaking good. The diversity in terms of abilities and characters, in terms of weapons, is crazy. I never expected a game that looked like Guardian Tales, which kind of looks like an old Zelda game, to play like this, to have a story like this. This game doesn't have any voice acting that I'm aware of, but the narrative is so freaking good. The combat is so much fun. Everything about this game is just pure enjoyment. So much so that it is one of my favorite Gacha games. And I would urge everyone to try it out if they have not already. Now, these are, to me, my favorite Gacha games right now. These are the Gacha games that I think you need to play to start 2024 off right. There are a lot of great looking Gacha games on the horizon. Gacha games to look forward to. Gacha games to play. But while you're waiting, the Gacha games that I listed are some of the best you will find, that you will encounter. So if you're not playing these games, or at least one of them, you're missing out because you're not playing the best. Now, if these Gacha games are not of any interest to you though, absolutely no problem. I got you covered with 2 different videos on screen right now. There might be more up your alley.